Today's episode delves into the life and legacy of one of the most formidable figures in history, Genghis Khan. While known for his ruthless conquests and unmatched brutality, there was much more to this enigmatic ruler that meets the eye. We will explore how Genghis Khan managed not only to unite the Mongol tribes, but also to establish the foundations of an empire spanning 1/5 of the world's landmass. We'll delve into his strategies, which went beyond sheer brute force and into cunning diplomacy, psychological warfare, and the incorporation of various tactics and technologies from conquered foes. Moreover, Genghis Khan showed a surprising aptitude for governance, fostering trade, religious tolerance, and even promoting literacy among his subjects. Finally, we'll discuss the legacy left behind by this great conqueror, examining his impact on the subsequent history of the Mongol Empire and the regions he conquered. Despite stories of his brutal campaigns instilling fear across several continents, Genghis Khan still holds a revered place among his people as a godlike figure and the father of the Mongolian nation. So join us on this journey to discover the many aspects of Genghis Khan, a fearsome warrior, a cunning tactician, an innovative leader, and above all, the architect of one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. Stay tuned to witness the extraordinary tale of this universal ruler. Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire, ruled from 1206 until his demise in 1227. Originally named Temujin, he earned the title Genghis Khan after uniting the Mongol tribes, likely translating to universal ruler. His ruthlessness towards his enemies was unmatched, with medieval chroniclers attributing the deaths of millions of innocents to his reign of terror. Genghis Khan's conquests included attacks on the Jin states, followed by Song China. In the opposite direction, his lightning-fast armies invaded Persia, Afghanistan, and Russia. Despite his terrifying reputation, Genghis Khan proved to be a skilled administrator, introducing writing to the Mongols, crafting their first law code, fostering trade, and allowing religious freedom throughout the Mongol territories. Through such actions, he laid the groundwork for an empire that would eventually span 1/5 of the globe under his successors. Born to aristocratic parents, he was initially named Temujin after a Tatar captive. Scholars debate his birth year, with some suggesting 1162 and others 1167. Legend claims that he was born holding a blood clot in his right hand, foreshadowing his brutal future. His mother, Holan, and father, Yesugei, a tribal leader, arranged for him to marry Bort, the daughter of influential Mongol leader Daisesen. However, before the marriage could occur, Yesugei was poisoned by a rival. At just 9 or 12 years of age, Temujin lost the support of his father's followers, leading him and his mother to be abandoned on the Asian steppe to perish. Despite their outcast status, the family persevered, surviving by foraging and living off the land as best they could. Temujin's situation took a turn for the worse when he was captured by the leader of a rival clan, possibly due to an incident where he might have killed one of his older half-brothers, Bekta. Bekta represented a competing branch of the family that had adopted Yesugei's legacy. Temujin managed to escape his captors at night and joined forces with Togrul, chief of the Kurate tribe, which had been previously aided by his father. He also reunited with and married his betrothed from years prior, Bort. Temujin's leadership skills and mastery of war helped him triumph over local opponents and amass an army. The conflicts were brutal, and one tribal leader was notorious for boiling his prisoners alive in 70 giant cauldrons. Despite the harsh resistance, Temujin successfully united the various nomadic tribes that wandered the Central Asian plains through a combination of diplomacy, generosity, and ruthless force. He either compelled the conquered tribes to join him or eliminated them entirely. Temujin often displayed personal courage in battle and recognized bravery among his enemies, thus turning them into loyal warriors. For instance, Jeeb, a fearless archer who once took down Temujin's horse in combat, eventually became one of his top generals. Gradually, over a decade or so, Temujin emerged victorious against rivals such as the Tartars, Karaids, Naimans, and Merkits. In 1206, representatives of the Mongol tribes convened in a grand conference, or Kurultai, held by the Kerulan River to proclaim Temujin as their leader. The bestowed title of Genghis Khan likely means universal ruler. Combining this authoritative foundation with traditional Mongol expertise in horsemanship and archery, the objective was not only to surpass traditional rival states, but also to create an empire capable of conquering the wealthiest Asian state, China. Although it may not have been his initial plan, this was exactly what Genghis achieved. Staying true to his origins, Genghis continued to reside in a spacious, portable wool-felt tent known as a yurt. Before the establishment of the Mongol Empire, these nomadic communities did not form villages or towns, but instead migrated between pastures according to seasonal needs. In a progressive move, the Great Khan mandated that the formerly oral Mongol language be converted into written form using the Uyghur-Turkic script. As a result, the yasa, a law code which includes defined punishments for various crimes, was established. Another innovation was the creation of a postal system, in which horse-riding couriers rapidly delivered messages across vast distances, receiving food, rest, and horse replacements at regular intervals. This communication network was invaluable for relaying military intelligence during campaigns. To further solidify his army's security, Genghis Khan abandoned the Mongol practice of organizing divisions according to tribal affiliations, which could cause division due to deeply rooted rivalries. To reinforce his own status, the Great Khan assembled and later expanded his elite bodyguard unit, the Ksikten, from 800 to 10,000 men. The Ksikten's loyalty was traditionally guaranteed by their diverse composition and by selecting its members from the siblings and offspring of senior commanders. Later, members pledged unwavering loyalty to the Khan in exchange for special privileges related to the division of war spoils. Moreover, numerous members also took on significant administrative roles in the conquered regions. By unifying the Mongols, their military had multiple benefits compared to those of their larger and more potent neighbors. They were skilled archers with their long-range composite bows and highly resilient warriors, able to ride for days with minimal sustenance and water. Their compact yet agile horses were an asset, able to withstand harsh weather conditions. The Mongols boasted both light and heavy cavalry, with each rider typically having up to 16 spare horses, thus granting them incredible mobility. The Mongols were also keen to adopt their adversaries' tactics and technology, bringing formidable versatility to Asian warfare. They rapidly mastered various combat styles, such as siege warfare and employing gunpowder missiles and catapults. In general, adopting the talents and advancements of others became a strength, as the Khan's ministers and commanders represented nearly 20 different nations. Genghis Khan had another edge up his sleeve. He could capitalize on the internal discord among their foes and incite old animosities that could debilitate enemy alliances. This information was often retrieved through spies and merchant networks. Furthermore, motivation was high since the sole purpose of Mongol warfare was to obtain spoils. Moreover, triumphant commanders could anticipate being granted extensive territories to govern as they wished, while the Great Khan himself received tributes from rulers allowed to hold their positions as Mongol subjects. In essence, the Mongol hordes posed a formidable challenge to overcome once they were mobilized. Genghis targeted the Jin state and the Yellow River Plain in 1205, 1209, and 1211, with the latter invasion consisting of two Mongol armies of 50,000 troops each. Under Jurchen control, the majority of northern China had an army comprising 300,000 infantry and 150,000 cavalry. However, the Mongols' high-speed strategies demonstrated that sheer numbers weren't the decisive factor. Genghis Khan would brutally ransack a city and then retreat, allowing the Jin to reclaim the area and handle the ensuing chaos. This tactic was employed repeatedly on the same city. Another approach was to seize a city, completely devastate it, massacre its inhabitants, and then threaten neighboring cities with the same fate if they refused to surrender. Terror tactics, such as using captives as human shields, were also deployed. Compounding the Jin's troubles were internal issues like widespread corruption depleting state funds, natural disasters, and assassinations of high-ranking officials, including Emperor Fidi in 1213. The Jin leaders were forced to relocate southward, sign a peace agreement, and pay tribute to the Great Khan in 1214, likely preferring this option over the harsh alternatives. Though this offered a brief reprieve, worse was to come when the Mongols resumed their assault on Jin in 1215 after the relocation of their capital southward, which Genghis perceived as a rejection of their vassal status. In 1215, the Great Khan also targeted northern China, echoing his earlier 1209 raids. In a somewhat short-sighted move, the fourth player in this imperial chess match, the Chinese Song dynasty, opted to form an alliance with the Khan rather than the Jin. This could have served as a valuable buffer zone against the Mongols. However, the Jin and Song had been engaged in conflict since the previous century, with the Song paying tribute to deter Jin raids. Over the following decade, the Mongols persisted in their assaults on China, with approximately 90 cities being razed between 1212 and 1213 alone. Throughout the campaign, the Mongol army absorbed many disenchanted or captured Chinese and Khitan soldiers. In 1215, the Song dynasty started a counteroffensive into Mongol territory, but it ultimately proved unsuccessful, resulting in the capture of the Chinese general. Another general met the same fate in 1217. That same year, Beijing fell to the Mongols, who burned the city for a month. Korea was not exempt from the Khan's interest, as they faced an invasion in 1216, followed by a combined Mongol-Korean effort against the Khitans in 1219. A phase of relative stability ensued, but the Mongols resumed their conquests, striking Korea in 1232 and 1235, and China in 1234, ushering in the collapse of the Jin state. It became apparent that the Mongols would not relent until the entirety of East Asia was under their control. The Song dynasty of China, weakened by internal strife and an overly cautious foreign policy, was now vulnerable to the Mongols, who would eventually bring its demise. However, the conquest of China was not enough to stop Genghis Khan's ambition. He shifted his focus southwestward, invading present-day Turkestan, Uzbekistan, and Urarun between 1218 and 1220, with his sights on the Khwarezm Empire. After a failed diplomatic attempt that resulted in the execution of his emissaries, Genghis Khan amassed an army of around 100,000 soldiers, which swept through Persia, forcing the Shah to flee to a Caspian Sea island. The Great Khan's forces captured cities like Bukhara and Samarkand, and his brutal tactics resulted in the destruction of numerous cities, the deaths of countless innocents, and significant damage to the region's irrigation systems. In 1221, the Mongols invaded northern Afghanistan, and by 1222, they had defeated a joint army of Rus principalities and Kipchaks at Khalkha, eventually encircling the Caspian Sea as they made their way back to Mongolia. This solidified the Mongols' terrifying reputation, likening them to a devastating and unstoppable plague on the battlefield. However, there was another aspect to Genghis Khan's campaigns. He understood that to maintain and profit from his conquered territories, a stable governance system was necessary. As a result, local rulers were often allowed to retain power, religious tolerance was practiced, international trade was promoted, and traveling merchants received protection. Genghis Khan passed away on August 18, 1227, due to an unidentified illness, possibly caused by a fall from his horse while hunting months earlier. At the time, he was besieging the Shah state's capital, Zhongxing, in northwest China. The news of his demise was withheld from the Mongol army until the city surrendered and its population was massacred. His remains were then brought back to Mongolia for burial, but the location of his tomb remained shrouded in mystery, sparking much speculation ever since. According to medieval sources, the tomb is believed to be near the sacred mountain of Burkan Kuldan, and his son Ogedei sacrificed 40 slave girls and 40 horses to accompany his father into the afterlife. Genghis Khan foresaw that his heirs would fight over the control of the Mongol Empire after his death, and thus made arrangements accordingly. The empire was divided among his sons Jochi, Chagatai, Tolui, and Ogodei, with each ruling a khanate. Ogodei, the third son, ascended as the new Great Khan in 1229, a position he held until his death in 1241. The next significant advancement occurred during the rule of Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, who seized control over the majority of China's remaining territories in 1275, leading to the Song dynasty's downfall in 1279. Kublai declared himself the emperor of the newly formed Yuan dynasty in China. Over the following 20 years, China would succumb to complete Mongol domination. The Mongol Empire then embarked on more conquests, such as in the Middle East, Korea, and Japan, achieving mixed results but ultimately establishing one of the largest empires in history. However, Genghis Khan's legacy extends far beyond his empire, as he is now revered as a deified figure in the region and regarded as the father of the Mongolian people. His status as a worshipped figure during the medieval era has been revived in contemporary times, and to this day, he is honored with special ceremonies in the present-day Mongolian capital of Ulaanbaatar. And there you have it, the astonishing story of Genghis Khan, a man who, against all odds, managed to not only unite the Mongol tribes, but also build one of the largest empires in history. He was a complex figure, both feared and admired, but his achievements cannot be denied. Through his military ingenuity and administrative prowess, Genghis laid the foundation for an empire that would later span across 1/5 of the globe under his successors, leaving an unforgettable mark on history. As we conclude this fascinating journey into the life of Genghis Khan, we would like to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of our intriguing look into the past. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, if you haven't already, do subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories from history. Don't hesitate to leave a comment below, telling us what historical figure or event you'd like us to cover next. As always, thank you for joining us on this voyage through time, and we'll see you in the next episode.